Sienna had always felt most at home when she was somewhere new. Her life fit neatly in the back of her dusty teal van, clothes in packing cubes, journals stuffed under the seat, a camera around her neck. She chased sunrises across deserts, danced in summer rain in the mountains, and fell asleep to the lull of crashing waves on forgotten beaches. The open road was her rhythm, freedom her only companion. It was in a small town in Oregon, where the trees outnumbered people and time seemed to move slower, that she met him. His name was Caleb, and he ran a sleepy little bookstore with a crooked sign and a cat named Hemingway. She stopped in looking for a local map, but stayed for his crooked smile and the way he spoke about books like they were old friends. He offered her coffee. She accepted. One afternoon turned into days. She helped him rearrange shelves, and he showed her how to make his favorite grilled cheese with blackberry jam. She told him about her travels, how she'd seen the northern lights in Alaska and almost missed a ferry in Maine because she stopped to photograph a lighthouse at dusk. He listened like every word mattered. He didn't try to anchor her, didn't ask her to stay. But when she left, the miles felt heavier than usual. She drove further, but her heart stayed behind. A month later, she pulled into that same town again, dusty van, coffee on the dashboard, and her heart in her hands. He didn't look surprised, just smiled, handed her a mug, and said, "You're late." And just like that, she realized not all journeys end when you stop moving. Some begin the moment you decide to stay. Sienna didn't unpack right away. Her van stayed parked outside Caleb's bookstore for weeks, like a silent promise she hadn't fully committed to breaking. She slept in the loft above the shop some nights, wrapped in mismatched quilts that smelled like old paper and cedar. Hemingway curled at her feet. Other nights she'd sit in the van under the stars, wondering if staying still meant losing herself. Caleb never pushed. He brewed 2 cups of coffee every morning, one with cream for her, and set it on the counter beside a flower he picked from somewhere nearby. Wildflowers. Always wild. One morning he found her sitting cross-legged on the bookstore floor, surrounded by maps. She was tracing old routes with her finger, a distant look in her eyes. He asked, gentle as always, "Thinking of going?" Sienna looked up, her eyes soft but unsure. "I don't know how to stay in one place. I've always had somewhere else to be." Caleb replied, "Then let this place be somewhere. Let me be somewhere." His words sat with her like warmth on skin after a long rain. She didn't answer right away. She just took his hand and placed it over her heart, letting the silence speak what she couldn't. Weeks turned into seasons. Sienna still traveled sometimes, weekend trips, spontaneous drives just to chase a sunset or feel the wind again, but she always came back. The van became less of a home and more of a memory. She turned a corner of the bookstore into a photo gallery, her travels now stories she shared with strangers. One evening, as snow whispered against the windows and jazz hummed from the radio, Caleb handed her a small box. Inside was a brass compass, old and slightly dented, engraved with the words, "Wherever you go, you're already home." She looked up at him, heart caught in her throat. He said, "I don't need you to stay forever. I just need you to know that love doesn't mean standing still. It just means having someone to come back to." And in that moment, Sienna knew the road had finally led her somewhere worth staying. The bookstore had aged beautifully. Wooden shelves weathered like fine leather, ivy curling around the front windows, and the faint scent of coffee and pages woven into every corner. The crooked sign still hung out front, and though the cat had changed, Hemingway now a framed photo on the checkout desk, the soul of the place remained. Sienna sat on the bench outside, a knit shawl draped over her shoulders, her silver-streaked hair in a loose braid down her back. Caleb was inside, reading aloud to a group of children cross-legged on a rug. His voice had deepened with time, but it still carried the same warmth she fell in love with all those years ago. Their life had become a gentle rhythm. Sienna still traveled, though less often, sometimes alone, sometimes with Caleb, sometimes with their granddaughter Olive, who had the same wild eyes Sienna once saw in the mirror. But no matter where she went, the compass he gave her always found its way into her pocket.